Hi, I'm Karen Smith, and I'm standing here on the rooftop of America House today. I'm hoping to interest you in something that interested me and that I wrote a current comment about, and that's a brand new study put out by the Pew Research Center. It's called 20 to 1. The gist of the study is simply this, that the recession has caused a record high in the disparity of wealth between the three largest groups, ethnic groups in the United States: whites, Hispanics, and blacks. What it found was that Hispanics and blacks were disproportionately affected and negatively affected by the effects of this recession. All three groups lost value: whites, Hispanics, and blacks. And the main reason is simply that real estate prices or housing prices dropped precipitously. But compare these figures and you'll see the import and why I care about this. White households lost 16% of their median net worth, but Hispanics lost 66% and blacks lost 53% of theirs. I brought with me this chart because a lot of people care more about dollar amounts than percentages. In 2005, the median net wealth of white families was $135,000. 4 years later, that had dropped to $113,000. But Hispanics started much lower to begin with. In 2005, their net wealth was only $18,359. And compare that $18,000 to $6,000 4 years later. Blacks are at the bottom of this group, and they started out with only $12,000, a little bit more than that. These are rounded numbers. And 4 years later, it fell to below $6,000, only $5,700. So the title of the study, 20 to 1, compares the amount that black households had in 2009, that $5,000, with $113,000 that white families had that same year. And you'll see that's 20 times as much. That's 20 to 1. Of itself, it doesn't really matter too much in a way, but if you look at it in the context, you can really see something's changed. For 20 years before the recession, and year by year they calculated this number, that number was half of what it is now. It was 10 to 1. White families had 10 times the wealth of blacks. But in just 3 years of recession, or 4 years in the period covered by this study, their wealth fell by 2. In other words, the recession doubled the wealth gap between black families and white families. Why? What happened? One thing is that minorities, both Hispanics and blacks, had less home equity, and they had more debt. The debt they had includes credit card debt as well as mortgage debt. But not only that, homes themselves tends to be the largest purchase that most people have. It accounted for a greater percent of the total wealth of Hispanics and blacks. Whites, by contrast, owned other sources of wealth. They had stocks and mutual funds, bonds, IRAs, pensions, all that kind of thing, and that helped to offset the fact that their homes too lost value. Why does all this matter? Well, I wrote about it because I care about the wealth disparity and the growing wealth disparity and think that it works against the common good of our country. One thing that is indisputable from the facts that they uncovered in this study is this, that the recession hurt all Americans in all three of these groups, but it fell hardest. It was unequal, and it fell hardest on the bottom two, the Hispanics and the blacks. I hope you enjoyed this commentary. This is Karen Sue Smith for America Magazine.